When somebody discovers that there's a particular way of eating called raw food is or raw vegan, they come to this knowledge of raw vegan food not because they feel great. Raw veganism is the result of a need, a solution to a problem, which is solving a health concern. Even the pioneers who discovered this way of eating, they didn't do it because they were feeling great. Like today, you take any person that is eating the Western standard American diet and they're doing well, they're feeling well, there's no chance that in their minds it's going to cross their mind to say, oh, I'm going to be raw vegan. No, is a response to a need, which is solving a health issue. And as I said, even the pioneers, I spoke in one of my previous videos about Arnold Ehret, how he was sick and he discovered the mucusless diet and all of this terminology that he used to explain the reality that he was experiencing at the time. And from there, you have all these teachings passing on to different students in a way, and then they became pioneers, etc., etc. But it's a need, is a response, a solution to a problem, which is let's reverse a specific health condition and let's preserve health. So the goal of eating a raw vegan diet, eating raw food diet, is not to be a raw vegan or to eat raw food. The goal is to stay healthy. The goal is to preserve or reverse, to reverse diseases and preserve health. Now, if you have this awareness, and obviously you came to my page probably, and you know me because I started making a lot of content about eating raw food. And at the moment when I was making those type of videos and posts, is because I strongly believed that staying raw would warranty health and longevity, like as much as we could live. That's the answer, right? That's what I believe, because a raw vegan diet is anti-inflammatory, like is the definition of an anti-inflammatory diet. There is so many anti-inflammatory diets, but raw foods is very anti-inflammatory. Obviously, you know, depending on what you eat, certain, even some raw foods are inflammatory, but that's another discussion for another video. But I thought that avoiding inflammation would be and hydrating, right, keeping yourself hydrated, and you know, eating water rich food, it will be ideal. So that's what I believed and that's what I preached. And now, right, I came to the knowledge of sarcopenia and aging, and it's going to happen to all of us. We're going to lose muscle mass as we age. And you know, I'm trying to put ideas together in a single message, because right now I just came to visit a family member, a very dear aunt, the eldest of my mom's sisters, and she's not even 80, but she's you know, getting help, assistance, because she's no longer able to stand up by herself. She used a walker. So this is a result of sarcopenia. This is a result of, and she's not even vegan. You know, it will happen to all of us. And when you are raw vegan, you believe that you get some sort of superpowers, and that eventually this is not going to happen to you. Obviously, the preservation of muscle mass, the main stimulus is movement, right? Especially if you strength train. That's the first stimulus. The second stimulus, not less important, is eating adequate amount of protein. And you know, my message, I guess, is not eat high raw vegan food because otherwise you're not going to get your protein. No, you can get your protein as a raw vegan, but it's more challenging, it's more difficult. And my point is, you know, I'm trying to put two ideas together in the same message. The problem that I see is that when people embrace raw foodism, raw veganism, there is so many other belief systems that surround raw vegan communities, magical thinking, so many other things that I don't want to even mention. But we kind of believe that, you know, this diet is gonna give you immortality, or you're invincible, in a way, because you never felt as energized and as clear-minded as with the raw vegan diet. Like before, when we were eating a standard Western diet, processed food and all of that, we felt sluggish and all that. So the solution, of course, is giving you the motivation to stick to it. Now, I want to make an invitation here to say, okay, you gain the awareness, right? The awareness that food really influences health outcomes, really influences the way you feel. Not that you have this awareness, because not many people, believe it or not, make that association that you are what you eat, how you eat affects your health, etc., etc. No many people have that awareness. We have the awareness, right? If you are plant-based, if you're raw vegan, we have the awareness. Now, the question for you and the invitation that I want to make is it enough to procure other organs in your body? And in this case, I'm referring to muscle and bone, because obviously, as I said, the first stimulus for muscle growth and muscle preservation is strength training. But is a raw vegan diet enough, right, to give you enough amount of protein to not compromise other body functions, and you know, to get all the nutrients that you need to repair your muscle after every single workout, and to keep your protein in your circulation for other functions? Because protein is not just for muscle. There are enzymes, there's a lot of things, substrates, metabolites, reactions that are needed, right? The peptides, the amino acids, all of that. When talking about amino acids, peptides, branch chain amino acids, proteins and all of that is the same thing, right? It's just like bigger structures, smaller structures. When I hear people saying, oh, you don't need protein, you need amino acids, it sounds ignorant, to be honest with you. You just have to, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but that's like a common saying to justify the low ingestion of protein, because again, we are in this age of verification with, if you don't want to use AI, don't use it. But a Google search, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, there's so many other, Gemini, all of these I can tell you exactly, like amino acid is just like a unit of protein. Peptide is like a bigger chain of amino acids, and then protein are more complex chains and structures of amino acids. So at the end of the day, we're talking the same thing. I don't want to digress, right? But in this day and age of information at your fingertips, you can prove and you can confirm or refute if something that you learn is real or not. People are afraid of protein because, oh, it's going to damage your kidneys. That's been debunked. So many other things that I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to digress. The point of this video is, if you have the awareness that your diet affects the way you feel and the way you're going to perform and the way you're going to be healthy or not, you also have to have the awareness to say, what I'm doing enough to preserve my muscle mass and to avoid sarcopenia? Because it's going to happen to all of us. Imagine staying alive for a long time, but not independent, right? As I said, the first stimulus is movement and strength training. The second stimulus, not less important, is supplementing with in your diet, not taking powders, or if you want, I take them, but diet alone can make a difference, but not exclusively fruit. There's so many branches within raw veganism, as I said, and other ideas and belief systems that are associated with raw veganism but have nothing to do with eating a raw diet. You will understand better if you really analyze what you're eating and say, you know what, I think maybe it's falling short, right? It's falling short. But again, it comes down to belief systems. Do you believe what you're eating is enough, or you are just convinced but you haven't really investigated? Are you mixing in belief systems like this is the Garden of Eden diet, right? Or this is we are frugivores and look like, you know what I mean? Like, are you just repeating what you heard, or you are really investigating and you are convinced, not because somebody else told you that you trust, but because you have done the research and you have got convinced by your own conclusions, right? So many things, but yeah, these things came to mind because of seeing the suffering unnecessary of people that I love, and how in this day and age of information at our fingertips, we can modify and enhance the knowledge that we have and use it to our advantage to avoid sarcopenia, to avoid osteopenia, to avoid relying on others just for basic functions, standing up, going to the restroom, going to do the groceries, taking care of your farm or your garden, whatever. Obviously, as modern humans, right, especially if you live in a city, going to the gym is necessary, is a playground for us adults to keep moving, to keep being functional. A person who lives in the field and they naturally do exercises because they have to lift stuff, they have to be self-sufficient, and that requires a lot of body movement and effort. Those people don't need to go to a gym. But if you live in the modern world, you definitely need a playground to at least preserve those functions. And you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but you have to do something that compromises or better say challenges your muscles to push and to pull, to flex your muscles and all of that. And again, muscle is not something inert that helps us move. Muscle is a immunological organ, an endocrine organ. I reposted a video of a woman saying it's a cycle of benefits when you exercise and when you train, you strength train, your resistance train. You have more muscle, you have more better insulin sensitivity, you have so many other things that are beneficial. But again, diet isn't everything, in my opinion. Even a person who is not eating the best diet, if they exercise consistently, probably the life expectancy is going to be very similar to the person who eats all the perfect food and doesn't exercise. Obviously, it goes hand in hand. Sleep, good relationships, sunlight, quality, air quality, exercise, diet, it goes together. But exercise is super important. And again, repeating myself probably, but women have been encouraged to look smaller and to have a flat belly and, following these beauty standards that are, that just weaken women. Don't be afraid to lift heavy, and you're not gonna get bulky. I've been training for 3 years, and the only results that I've seen is that I'm more toned and more firm, and I have more muscle mass, and I have better response to my insulin, and I can eat carbs with no, so many things that don't want to digress. But the message is like, life expectancy isn't everything. Functionality and preserving your integrity, autonomy, mobility, strength is everything, honestly.